The theater lights were low, and the room felt quiet in a gentle way, like the moment just before rain begins to fall. People sat in their seats, some leaning forward, some resting back, all waiting. The stage was wide and calm, covered in soft blue light that moved slowly, almost like breathing. This was a night many would remember, though no one knew it yet. It felt like an ordinary night of auditions, another episode, another hopeful singer. But sometimes, the most important moments arrive without warning. Simon Cowell sat at the judge's table, his hands folded, his face calm but watchful. He had seen thousands of performers over the years. He had heard every kind of voice, every kind of story. Still, something in the air made him feel alert, as if the room itself was holding a secret. The audience murmured softly, then fell silent as a young man walked onto the stage. The young man moved slowly, carefully, as if each step mattered. He was not dressed to impress. Simple clothes, clean shoes. His hands trembled just a little as he waved to the crowd. He took a deep breath and looked around, blinking against the bright lights. For a moment, he seemed lost, like someone standing at the edge of a long road, unsure where it would lead. Simon leaned forward. "Hello," he said, his voice steady. "What's your name?" "My name is Daniel," the young man replied. His voice was soft but clear. It carried honesty more than confidence. "And where are you from, Daniel?" Simon asked. "I live in the United States now," Daniel said. "But my story begins far from here." The audience listened closely. Daniel paused, pressing his lips together. He looked down at the floor, then back up. "I grew up with my mother," he continued. "She raised me alone. She worked long hours. She loved music, and she loved one song more than any other." Simon raised an eyebrow slightly. "Which song?" Daniel swallowed. "The song is called Anak." There was a quiet reaction in the room. Some people nodded. Some whispered. The name carried weight, especially to those who knew its history. Simon sat very still now. "My mother played that song when she was tired," Daniel said. "When she was sad. When she missed someone she could not talk about." Daniel's hands shook more, and he placed them behind his back to steady himself. "She told me the song was written by a man who understood what it meant to be a child, and what it meant to be a parent. She never told me his name. Not until she was very sick." The room felt smaller somehow, like everyone had moved closer without realizing it. "When my mother was dying," Daniel said quietly, "she told me the truth. She told me who my father was." Simon's eyes widened just a little. "She said my father is Freddie Aguilar," Daniel said. The audience gasped. Not loudly, but enough to ripple through the room like wind through tall grass. Cameras shifted. People leaned forward. Simon did not move at all. His face had gone completely still. Daniel nodded slowly, as if accepting the sound of the crowd. "He never knew about me," Daniel said. "My mother didn't want to disturb his life. She just wanted me to know where I came from." Simon cleared his throat. "And why are you here tonight, Daniel?" Daniel took another deep breath. "I am here to sing, Anak. Not to shock anyone. Not to claim anything. I just want to sing it, for my mother. And for the father who never knew me." The theater was silent. No one clapped. No one spoke. Silence wrapped around the room like a blanket. Simon nodded slowly. "Whenever you're ready." The music began softly. A single guitar sound, gentle and slow. Daniel closed his eyes. When he opened his mouth to sing, his voice came out thin at first, almost fragile. But it was steady, honest. Each word landed carefully, as if he was placing them one by one on the floor between him and the audience. As the song continued, his voice grew warmer. Stronger. Not loud, but full. It carried years of waiting, years of quiet questions, years of love that had nowhere to go. He sang like someone telling a story they had kept inside for too long. Simon felt something tighten in his chest. He had heard Anak before, but never like this. This was not a performance meant to impress. It was a conversation, a letter, a confession. The audience was completely still now. Some people wiped their eyes. Others held their breath. Daniel sang about parents and children, about mistakes and forgiveness, about time slipping away. Each line felt heavier than the last, but also softer, like a hand resting on a shoulder. Halfway through the song, Daniel's voice cracked. Just once. He stopped for a second, closed his eyes, and breathed. Then he continued. That small pause made the moment even more real. No one wanted him to be perfect. They wanted him to be true. Simon looked down, then back up. His eyes were glassy. He did not bother to hide it. When the song ended, the last note hung in the air for a long moment before fading. Daniel stood still, his head bowed. His chest rose and fell quickly as he tried to control his breathing. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the audience stood. Applause filled the theater, not loud at first, but deep and steady. It grew stronger, warmer, until it surrounded Daniel completely. He looked up, surprised, tears streaming down his face. Simon stood as well. He placed his hands on the table, then stepped back, as if he needed space to feel what he was feeling. "Daniel," Simon said when the applause finally softened. His voice was quieter than usual. "That was extraordinary." Daniel nodded, unable to speak. "You didn't come here to win," Simon continued. "You didn't come here to show off. You came here to tell the truth. And that is far more powerful than any perfect note." Simon paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've seen many stories on this stage. But this is something else." Daniel wiped his face with his sleeve. "Thank you," he whispered. Simon looked toward the stage lights, then back at Daniel. "I don't know what your future looks like after tonight," he said. "But I do know this. Your voice carries meaning, and people need to hear that." He reached forward, his hand hovering over the golden buzzer. The audience held its breath again. Simon stopped. He looked at Daniel one more time. "This isn't about rushing," he said gently. "This moment deserves to be felt, not exploded." He pulled his hand back. Instead, he smiled. A real smile. Soft and full of respect. "I want you to continue," Simon said. "Not because of who your father is, but because of who you are." The other judges nodded. Yes votes came easily, almost quietly, like everyone already knew the answer. Daniel walked off the stage slowly, as if he did not want to break the feeling by moving too fast. Backstage, he leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. He felt lighter. Not because he had revealed a secret, but because he had finally shared a song that had lived inside him for so long. Somewhere far away, a man named Freddie Aguilar would later hear about the performance. He would hear the song. He would hear the voice. And he would feel something stir in his heart, something familiar and new at the same time. But that meeting would come later. For now, the night settled back into its rhythm. Another act came on. The show moved forward. Yet the air had changed. Something honest had passed through the room and left a mark. Simon sat quietly, thinking. Even after all these years, moments like this still surprised him. They reminded him why music mattered. Why stories mattered. Why voices like Daniel's needed space to be heard. And somewhere in the audience, a woman whispered to her child, "Listen. This is what truth sounds like." The lights dimmed, and the stage waited for the next story, holding the echo of Anak, like a promise that some songs never fade.